fuck?
See, it's like
It really doesn't make you feel like you're a hamster.
Yeah. Hamster pellet
And then
gum.
in the side is the gum wrappers. Okay, you're going to have to chew that real quick. I'm not going to hear you chewing the whole time.
Yeah, I was about to say, why are you asking for gum before we start recording? Oh my god, it is like hamster food.
Yeah,
What
because
the fuck?
it's Trader Joe's stuff.
Already been
gotta be
chewed
trimmed.
gum wraps.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Oh, I see. You like save your gum with the wraps. That's kind of tight. Man, we have people like dropping like flies right now. I'll tell you that. You're fucking chewing into the mic.
I didn't know we were recording.
Yeah, I hit it clandestinely.
Oh, you wanted to.
But also, I thought you would, I didn't think it mattered whether we were recording. I have to speak over your chewing. I didn't think it mattered whether we were recording or not. I just thought you would be a courteous friend and not chew in our ears like that.
See, I'd started using singing techniques to chew louder than you could talk.
Well, it's because the
your
gum.
stand.
Why are you doing gum too?
See, this is
Yes, of course you can have
thank you.
some.
Thank you.
this is normal chewing.
Just put it down.
This is singing chewing.
You don't.
Big
have to have
difference.
Do you know how many people fucking hate that the like fucking
It's like
chewing?
chalkboard.
I don't give a shit.
Do you know
There's
how
a lot
many?
of
Do you know
people
how
who've
many
already clicked out of
ASMR listeners we just got?
That's true.
I like how the concept of people.
You know how many
in the
vor
universe
fetishists
watching
just
this.
started
It's not
listening,
looking good, but the numbers are.
As long as the numbers are up, I don't give
Yeah,
a
but
shit.
even isn't ASMR? Yes, like it's a sound thing, but it's also understanding what it's coming from is a big part. That's why streamers do it because they're not doing audio. People also want to see where it comes from.
I guess
Really?
so.
Well, because that's why you have like a hot chick doing it. Because there's a value connection to what they're doing.
That's true.
You don't just it's never just that's why they stream it because it's not a full audio.
You're
thing.
right. It's always whenever there's an ASMR video, it's always tits and noise.
Yeah,
That's
there's
about
someone describes the value. It doesn't matter what it is. Like farting, like the farting fetish thing.
Oh yeah, like on cakes.
It's about
and
like
shit.
who does it too. It's not like you're not just listening to farting.
Yeah, I wonder how
compilations.
how hardcore of a fart fetishist you'd have to be to not care who's on the other side of the fart. You know what I'm
I
saying?
think the fetish just makes it specific to who it is. But yeah, there could be one where it's
Could
just
be.
like just farting in general.
Just walking around farting.
Yeah,
Just the fetishist, or
yeah. He's saying there's a fetish that's so much that just any farting.
There's just some chick just like she's like walking around.
yeah.
But then you still have you're describing a person to that. Well, it's like there's a fetishist that's just the sound of anything farting, like a cow.
Oh my god, just being
A
into
horse.
fucking methane farts.
Yeah, a cow, a horse, a couch making
Yeah.
a fart noise.
Yeah.
Couch.
I mean, this is like some this.
There's a squeaky
Scream.
door on the subway, and you get and at every stop you like get a fucking chub
Yeah.
in your khakis. And
Yeah,
like,
which
'cause
could
the
be
door's rubbing up against
ascribing a person to it.
Yeah.
But yeah, you're talking about like it's completely.
You're an
I
old,
guess
you're
you-
an old timey miner, and suddenly you go down a pit, and you're like,
You're like gonna
God,
die?
I wish I were that canary.
"Yep,
You farted and then you're enjoying yourself,
what?"
or the methane.
Yeah, do you
We're
think-
we're still talking about this
do you think that-
hypothetical person that's just going around getting off on their own farts and
Yeah.
the farts
their
of
own
the world
farts.
around them.
Yeah, it's the world around it.
Yeah. Do you think? Because I think you're right that like you do have to ascribe like the fetish to like a person, I guess, to be personified in
think
some
so,
way.
yeah.
But do you think the canaries in those coal mines jacked off before they like as they died?
What, the canaries?
Yeah, it's
They
like
I don't
jacked
think-
off.
it's kind of like what David Carradine did. It's kind of like that.
So you're
But with
describing
your little bird dick.
I don't think a bird doesn't have a concept of
masturbation.
I'm dying now, as I have enough time to do this. It's not how it works.
Well, I guess
We have the ability to prioritize actions against the immediate threat danger response of our environment.
Right.
Nothing else has that privilege, okay?
I got time to squeeze one out.
yeah, I
A
don't think
chimpanzee that you hold a gun to its head doesn't immediately go, "Wow, I guess nothing else to do."
Yeah.
It's not going to start jacking
so.
off.
That's true because there's a video of a guy just this week of, I'm sure it's an old video, but a dog was trying to attack him, so he pulls a gun at it, and people were you could see in his eyes he thought the dog was going to react to the gun.
Yeah.
He literally
The
pointed
dog
it
like
at
gets up on his hind legs and puts his arms up.
yeah, because the
the
concept
fuck
of
down,
a gun
dog.
is just a human thing.
Stop! Ah!
It's like you have to teach an animal to hate it. I mean, to teach humans to hate it too. But it's so cultural.
So the canary would not realize it has enough time to squeeze. Also, I just love that depraved thought that your death is imminent, so you're like, I gotta crank that hog one last time.
Why would you feel like
that? I got just enough time. I think it's funny. I hope when they had that fake missile alert in Hawaii.
Yeah.
And like people did like awful things and realized, ooh, sorry about that. I thought I'd be dead. I didn't think I'd live to see the consequences of my actions. How many people do you think just saw that come up on their TV and they just started fucking like just going to town?
I don't know. I feel like it was so quick. Because you're literally describing like a purge scenario where the purge happens the next day kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're describing literally Orson Welles back in the 50s. You hear Orson Welles thing, and then you're saying like, wife, I think we should do anal now. I think that's what you're describing.
Quickly, honey, we only have 5 minutes to do it.
You only have
5 minutes? Yeah, we are. Damn it. Can you spit on it? There's no time, honey.
5 minutes.
Honestly, historically, it would be even more appropriate because, rating.
Honestly, if
like
somebody said, if somebody said you've got 5 minutes left and you can do your favorite thing in the world, and then you're gonna die, I'd just be like, there's not even no point. It's 5 minutes.
You don't have time.
The ability.
Oh, come on, you could finish.
The amount of energy it would take to get into enjoying to do it. And then fighting the half of, I'm already a minute or 2 in, and now I'm going to die in 3 more minutes?
I disagree. I feel like
that's so much more stress than just going, nah, I won't do it.
I disagree. I feel like the adrenaline spike would make it to where you were like, if you in your mind prioritized jerking off, you would have the hardest cum you've ever had.
Well, I think you're describing military discipline. Because most people have most people have deers in the headlights. You have 5 minutes. You're going to spend that 5 minutes stuff.
You're just being you're
describing
the fucking
discipline.
alert comes on the TV and you're like, I've been training for this.
That's what you're describing.
Kicking.
Yeah, you're describing a disciplined thought. That's why military trains you to shoot a certain way. It's completely disciplined.
We need military.
Even for the day before, what's your last meal gonna be? I mean, I don't know, man. What's ever not gonna inconvenience the cook? Can he go home early or something? I don't give a shit.
Well, even now they don't even do that at all. Anyways.
They're not?
No,
because
they do, but they don't. They can't go extravagant.
You'd imagine you'd be like, I want this. I want this whole steak, and I want this dinner. I want these 5 drinks and everything. And you finish it all, and you're right there. And they're like, all right, it's time. You're picking up the dishes, and you go, God damn it! I should have just asked for a Krispy Kreme donut.
Yeah.
No matter what, you're gonna have some sort of regret.
I feel like I think Matt's right. Well, you're right. No matter what, you're gonna have some sort of regret. But I think Matt's right that you probably pick from a menu. But if you were like, hey, can I have the things off of the menu plus 1 Krispy Kreme donut?
Yeah.
I feel like they'd be like, all right.
I have a real world example that's really sad.
Yeah, but in your case, you're dead. You're dying right then.
Yeah, right now.
You're dying. There's
not even enough
time. That's right there.
Yeah.
Whenever real life situation's happening, your mind's already phasing out. The DMT's kicking in from your brain. Yeah. The Grim Reaper's there, and then you're like,
cranking my hog.
Hey, can I get a Krispy Kreme donut? You're like, I just crank one out. And Death's like, I don't know if you're like, I'm already there, dude.
It's
too late. I'm sorry. I'm Louis C.K. in you right now, but I planned this from day one, and
my
Death's like, this it's okay. This is actually not that uncommon.
My goal is to make the fucking
and Death's like, remember that time in Hawaii with the nuclear alert? Oh yeah, you should have been. Everyone was. There wasn't a person who wasn't. I was surprised. It's a busy day.
I had to change robes twice.
I showed
up right as motherfuckers finished.
Nobody even died that day. That was crazy.
I mean, there's an assumption that
it wasn't even worth it.
Just any tragedy that gets you nervous about the future would also make you masturbate. Because again, you're disciplining this. So you'd see 9/11, and then you would have.
Oh well.
You would see
all right,
outbreak of COVID and stuff, and you really start masturbating. Heavy tragedies. You're
I witnessed a deadly car crash.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't need training for that. I'm into that.
Yeah. But heavy stress, you have an ingrained need to just start
Yeah.
masturbating.
You see Will Smith's smack on live TV. You're like, here we go.
Here we go. Oh,
Like,
I would jerk off to that
What,
anytime.
public speaking?
That's awesome.
You know, you just be like,
Just-
hold up. I need to do tall speaking. I'm stressed. Any kind of nervous situation?
You're at the
Speaking of-
DMV. You're like, I've got all my
Speaking
paperwork.
of-
They're like, we need this paperwork. They're like, I don't have that one. They're like, you got to go home. You're like, oh, shit. Oh.
Oh, yeah.
I'm at the counter.
Yeah.
Speaking of getting through stressful situations, I'm going to do the ad reads really quick. So
Again? Okay.
Yeah. We got to do 2 episodes. All right. You could buy my tabletop role-playing game, Trackmarks, at bylecosmo.com, BYLECOSMO.com. You can donate to the podcast, ask us questions that we'll answer live on air, which we do have one, at wrongroom.net or wrongroompod.com. Also, we are going to be starting an actual play of Burning Wheel coming up here, and those will be a bonus 3rd episode, $4 a month. You get access to all the episodes we do in that. They're probably going to be an hour and a half to 2 hours each, and that's going to be a lot of fun. And wow, nothing. Nobody's gonna
You
try and
done?
fuck with me. Go.
You done here? Is there anything else you wanted to bring up?
No, that's it.
Thank fucking God.
We're
Okay.
banking them. We're
So,
banking them.
your response. We've been waiting for your response.
Yeah, you've been trying to say something.
Which one?
You-
I had 2 responses.
Say them both.
So my first response.
What's your top 5 responses of the 2 responses you've got?
My first response to the last thing you said is I saw a very sad documentary called Exterminatus, or Exterminus, which is about people dying in the hospital.
Yeah.
It's only 15 minutes, but it's really fucking intense.
Mm-hmm.
And one of them was a prisoner who has been in prison his entire life. And before he died, he was in hospice. They gave him ice cream. That's it.
That is kind of sad.
And he had like no one around him.
That's
That's
really
all he got.
sad.
He got a bowl of ice cream. Not the whole thing, just a bowl of ice cream.
I couldn't even ask for the quart.
Nope.
Oh,
He got a tiny bit of ice cream, and then he died after being in prison all of his life.
I mean, that must have been some damn good ice cream.
Maybe I think it was like vanilla.
Not even chocolate chip or nothing.
No.
I don't know. You can't knock some good vanilla ice cream though.
Well, I'm sure he
Yeah.
hasn't had like good ice cream in like his entire life.
Yeah. He probably didn't even know what ice cream was. He spent his entire life in prison. He didn't know how to read. He didn't know what the sun looked like.
Sun?
He didn't know what that
Yeah,
looked
it's a
like.
fake sun. It's a fake sun.
Yeah,
when he's in there.
he got Truman showed by the
whole
prison
time.
industrial
Oh my
complex.
God. A Truman show, but it's just you in prison.
But you're in a prison.
So everyone's an actor, but you're just also in prison.
So it's Truman Show. He finds out everything's fake. He's been
Jeez.
lied to, except the twist is he deserved it the whole time.
He had it coming.
He had it coming.
Jeez. That's so depressing.
That's the moral of the story at the end is he deserved it because he sucks.
Well, it's like, what is it? Is it like when the season's done, he's in solitary confinement the whole time, and the new
It was all in
he
his
gets
head
out?
or some shit.
No, it's just that he is, when they don't need him, they'll put him in solitary confinement,
Yeah.
and then they'll pull him back out when the season starts again,
Yeah.
because they'll just try to do ways to save money.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just, and then like actor strikes will just be actual like strikes in the prison.
It's just like just fucking Truman showing someone.
Yeah.
But he
That's
deserved
awful.
it.
Enough.
There's a Black Mirror episode about that.
There is.
There
Is there?
Yeah.
Oh, is that the one where he?
It is.
I haven't seen the show.
It's the one where
Yeah.
she's like looping in like the thing.
Okay, then I
It's like-
haven't seen it.
yeah,
I thought it
it's-
was the one where like he has to show an audience he's like worth it or something, and he gets points by like showing. I
50
literally haven't
million
seen it.
merits?
It's like one of the famous.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I
mean,
know.
only
and
the
then he
first
has
two seasons of
he's
that
like
show were
about to
good.
kill himself with glass or something, and then he gets some more points because it's trying to be like network.
Yeah.
I don't know that one.
I don't know.
I never seen Black Mirror.
What was your other response?
Yeah.
So if it's my highbrow response is from the continuation of the last one a couple months ago, because I remember stuff.
Yeah.
I remember
Right.
stuff for long periods of time.
Yeah, I have no idea what the fuck we're talking
Was
about.
if you walk up to a publisher and you say, "Hey, you can't have me get rid of the 10 pages about the IKEA furniture. It's important." The actual publisher and editor will say, "Well, too bad. That's not interesting because I'm actually reading your transcript. I know it's interesting. Find a way to make it interesting because I don't care," is what they'll say.
That's great. because I love your opinion with how you start off with saying and prefacing twice that you didn't know what you're talking about.
For what?
Because you're right.
I also love that you're reducing Casey's writing to just listing IKEA furniture.
Yeah, no, because he's talking about a specific thing.
No,
Yeah,
but
it's very specific,
you're jumping. You're jumping about. You're comparing a stage 2 process to a stage 12 like process point of view.
Okay.
The 10 pages aren't ever making it to the editor to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You missed the whole point of airing it out.
The whole point
You
of it?
sealed it in the whole time.
I sealed it in.
The thing is, you're talking about the sealing it in, the seal the deal stage.
Yeah.
And you're talking about bringing air it out stuff to the ceiling? I don't think so.
You getting it now? I'm losing it.
I think I'm getting it, and I'm not going to explain
See,
it.
he gets it now. You don't. In order to
losing
be able to seal it in, you've got to air it out a lot.
I think he's just talking in circles now because you were dead on the money about the 10 pages of IKEA furniture listings.
Damn,
and
am
he's
I
very
right?
sensitive about it. Yeah.
It's quiet.
It's 11 pages. Actually.
No, but you see,
You're talking about the erg blank in the four Gluben.
If it doesn't- if it doesn't progress
What
the
the
story,
What the fuck
now
is
it's some side thing.
I don't know. Some IKEA
That's a good
furniture.
name
It's
for it.
called
For Gluben?
For Gluben.
The I'm sleeping in my Gluben, and the character's like, "What is
Wow.
it?" You never describe
You
it.
know-
Oh, you don't know what a Fort
I'm
Gluben is,
here,
you fucking idiot.
I'm here standing with my brand new Fort Lubin, but you know what I feel more proud about? These 2 Fort Lubin right behind me.
Yeah, they never describe what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just do a Frank Herbert and just launch into Dune and just never explain anything.
Oh my god. Well, the beginning of Dune is kind of that and not. Yeah.
It's like 100 pages of I'm so fucking lost until you hit a
Yes.
page 150 or so and you're like, oh, okay, that's what he's been talking about for half the book.
When you get
Okay,
into Arrakis,
cool.
it's good. I think Dune is really slow. Really
hard.
slow in the beginning.
Yeah.
It's hard.
People are like, why do you like this? Why can't we get to Dune yet?
The first 100 pages, you just got to brute force
Yeah.
through. So many people bounce off. I bounced off the first 100 pages
Yeah.
before.
I
You have
slowed
to
down a lot.
brute force through those 100 pages.
Yeah, and then
if you
after
see
that, I
something you don't
finished it.
recognize, just fucking ignore it and keep going.
Oh, yeah. No, that was a big part of Dune. I was just like, oh my gosh, I get it. Arrakis is awesome.
I'm surprised. As amazing as that book is, I am kind of surprised it got published with the way that it was written.
Yeah.
Because it was
Yeah.
like, fuck, man. God damn.
Yeah, because there's so many cool conventions that come out of it, which is the whole thing like, oh, this whole thing is a history book about what happened before. And you're like, and then the movies can't really, they have always a hard time trying to ever do that through line.
Yeah.
And then the way that they all speak to each other through the invoice, a lot of movies can't deal with that either.
The Denis Villeneuve movie is very fucking good.
But yeah,
though.
reading the book is
Yeah.
so much different than any visual medium because like it'd just be boring.
It
It
is-
would be
yeah.
super slow trying to do it in the book.
It is for that reason I think it was originally considered unadaptable. And I think
Yeah.
the most recent Dune film kind of proved it can be, but it's like
it takes it out though. Yeah,
a lot of stuff had to kind of
like. Was there any internal voice stuff? I don't remember.
There was no inner dialogue stuff, so a lot of that had to be kind of extracted out
Yeah.
or just chopped off. I think the decisions they made in the Dune movie were good. I think they definitely left out and changed some things, but I don't think there was bad choices. You know what I mean?
I think
overall-
didn't it allude to the fact that this is a history in the beginning vaguely, and then it doesn't bring it
I
back
think
up
so.
later.
I think you're right.
I think
it's
do.
the very beginning. Like this is a book about the great thing that happened.
I think
I think after that's done.
I
It
don't
doesn't
think
say
they
it.
really did too much. I think
very small.
It was because I knew it already was, but I think
Yeah.
since the second movie's gonna have Princess Irulan in it, it might have like a future shot of like Princess Irulan being like, oh, and this is the story
Right,
about
because they show the
Paul and
armies,
stuff.
so they do allude to the future that the book
They
doesn't.
do allude to the future, but I think that we might have Princess Irulan like a future shot. It would be cool to start the second movie with a future shot of Princess Irulan talking retrospectively about the Muad'Dib and all that stuff.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in the book. And
Yeah,
then
because
it
in
kinda-
the movie it was just kind of like him
It's-
having nightmares
or-
about it, which was in the book too.
Or it's gonna open with the Fade Rautha stuff, because that's the thing I'm worried about. The book gives like 2 scenes to Paul's like mortal enemy, like Fade Rautha,
Yep.
and it's like the movie's gonna have to pump up those numbers. It's gonna have to make him a lot more important than just showing him in 2 scenes.
Because it's trying not to do the funnel like the book does.
Yeah.
It shows and not tells. as much as it can.
Oh,
it'll go into the
100%.
planet, but it's not fucking telling you the stats of the planet.
Sometimes I think what the movie did is it told when Frank Herbert should have just told.
Yeah.
And I think it helped a lot. There's some things that's like, all right, the Emperor's coming and he's here and he's doing this. And it's like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
They don't do that in the book.
Yeah, they literally have to make it a screenplay. It's not a quick adaptation.
No.
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings was assumed to be unadaptable.
Yeah. I remember that.
Really?
That was talked a lot.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
I forgot who talked about that the most at the time. But yeah, I agree. It was, for the longest time, considered completely maybe it's just the behind the scenes, I think.
Well, it was the fact that it's Lord of the Rings is 3 consecutive parallel storylines. And the thing with all narrative with film is that it was all linear. Film had a linear structure. All the, it wasn't until...
Pulp Fiction.
Later.
No.
Yeah.
No, more probably the stuff that Pulp Fiction was starting to allude to, but yeah.
It was probably in the 70s or 80s.
I haven't seen Babel, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I
Rashomon
mean...
almost, but it's still different.
They even with the Ralph Bakshi ones tried to play around a bit because they kind of went, how do we tell what happens with Return of the King? And they just went, oh, start the story with everyone at dinner after everything, and everyone's telling their point of view and just bringing up flashback memories of how Middle Earth was saying.
Which was really stupid, but it worked.
Yeah.
It worked for their purpose.
It was the only way to
limiting the
seem
scope.
to be able to tackle it.
Yeah, limiting it as hard as they can.
And here's the other thing too, which is interesting about Lord. I mean, I feel like the reason why it was adaptable is because they did throw a couple $100 million at that fucking thing. Yeah. It's like, I mean, Dune, the budget isn't the highest that it is.
It's definitely the highest of the movies so far. As in, like,
all
the other ones.
Yeah. But no, I think it helped with Lord of the Rings that there was a recognition that it's like, man, if we can adapt this, it's big. But if we don't have at least $100-200 million going towards this, we probably aren't going to be able to actually pull it off.
Yeah.
It would be cool. I would love to see like a minimalist Lord of the Rings, like people just kind of adapting something that big into smaller. Because I mean, that's what I really liked about the Dune book. Is you never see any battle scenes. Like, during, like, the big battle scene that they're obviously going to show in the movie, the whole time Paul is in this bunker arguing with Stilgar about whether they're going to actually be, like, hitting the shield with his, like, family autonomous.
It's passed over so quick, you get whiplash.
You get crazy whiplash.
I'm like, is it already over?
So I love the idea of it's like, all right, we're going to redo the Lord of the Rings film trilogy, but we have $1 million. How do you do it?
Yeah.
I love stuff like that.
And
I love like
technology being in the right place at the right time.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love like really low budget contained where it's like, we have all these limitations. We still have to pull this off because then the brain gets moving.
Well, isn't that funny? Because I think that's the discussion about The Mandalorian was that people loved it in the beginning until they got too popular because it slowed it narrowed the scope of as telling a story, not a let's talk about the prequels a billion times over again.
Yeah.
It was just, we're talking about a story in universe. And then as soon as it goes to, hey, remember these characters, it ruins itself.
Oh, absolutely.
And I haven't seen the story, but based on just even clips I've seen, it's just kind of like what people find more interesting is, he's hyper-focusing on a person in that universe.
Yeah.
And then staying with them. Don't fucking go, now they're connected to Leia or something. Make them their own person.
Good story. I think good storytelling in general usually has heavy focus on characters. I think that's the same thing with obviously the same thing with role playing games, but it's like what we were talking about last episode a couple months ago, where it's like super where it's a lot easier to tell a story when it's like I don't even care about the rest of the world, I don't care about nothing. I care about these 5 people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that makes it a lot more manageable. It's like I'm only caring about what's happening to them and what they're doing and everything. Fully simulating a world or even a combat environment's hard. It's so hard. Mm-hmm. It's stuff that even computer RPGs have a hard time doing. And they have computers that are doing all the math for them. They only have to focus on those things, and it's still hard.
Yeah, and they have to narrow it. I mean, if you're playing like a Warhammer or a Total War game, I mean, you're just giant armies. You're not... The enjoyment is the armies, but it's not like... You're not thinking about the inner... personal communication of the soldiers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That is the benefit that Warhammer has now. old Warhammer Fantasy and Warhammer 40K is they don't even have to explain anything. There's just so much shit out there, and people can just basically assume that people who are into it have like read the thousands of books or played any of the thousands of games or whatever, that they could just do whatever they want. Like that new Bolt Gun game, which is like Doom, like old school Doom, but like 40K.
Oh, yeah.
Shit was fucking tight.
Okay.
And all they had to do is be like, you're a space marine with a gun. But not only is that accessible to like newcomers, so they're like, yeah, killing aliens. I'm down with that. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
Yep.
But there's so much in there that they didn't have to explain that had to do with all the lore that was, amazing. I don't know. We have a question.
Oh, okay.
All right.
It's from Ben.
Okay, never mind.
Come on. He's been soloing it.
Wow.
He's really giving us the most stuff. I really do appreciate it.
Cool.
And the question is, a month ago, what class would you eliminate if you had to pick one and why?
Oh, God.
I guess you'd be talking additions, so it'd be just 5th, I guess.
Because I could answer from an old school D&D perspective, it would be cleric. Because there's a lot of arguments about whether you should get rid of the thief or get rid of the cleric. Because in old school D&D, the cleric is super redundant with the fighter and the magic user, and a lot of people say the inclusion of thief led to the inclusion of skills, which ruined the game because it took away this idea that anybody can do anything.
Yeah.
I like the thief. I run it to where it's like, well, yeah, of course everyone can do anything. The thief can just do it like almost supernaturally better. Cleric, I feel, is super redundant, and it's really weird because you can reskin a fighter in a lot of different ways.
Yep.
You can reskin a magic user and a thief in a lot of different ways. The cleric is such a specific kind of guy. Like, he can only be like a crusader, and that's it.
Wrong.
That I'm just kind of like, yeah, I'm going to get him out.
Wrong.
Why'd you take away?
Okay. Okay, yeah, no, go ahead.
You're just wrong. And Matt...
How am I just fuck? Okay. All right. So I said mine. He's like, no, you're wrong. And it's going to get yours and say you're wrong. So
Yeah.
No, you
no.
can't say I'm wrong.
No, I was about to.
I talked to this Ben already.
I'm about to. Whatever you're going to say is wrong.
I didn't
too.
even know he had this question, but you already had the discussion, though.
Oh, you already discussed
we
it?
talked about it a week ago.
All right, then, yeah.
You
Well,
didn't even tell me that
recently.
well,
question.
then bring us up to speed. What's your opinion?
So,
yeah, set yourself up so Casey can knock you down.
good luck. You know me. I'll find a way.
Which one is it?
So, yeah, Ben and I talked about it, which is that fighter is an archetype, is a blank sheet that everyone should start with and then should be gone. As a fighter by itself makes no sense because as a rogue, you're basically a fighter. As a ranger, you're basically a fighter. As a paladin, you are a specialized fighter. Mm-hmm. All of them are all default of fighter. So why is fighter still there? Because it's boring in endgame.
I see. That's a pretty good argument, actually.
Well,
it's the inverse of the real argument, which would be just have fighter, get rid of paladin or ranger. You don't need these other classifications. Just have everything be. But instead, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
It's saying if we're already in a game that's going to have these heavier classifications, why do we still have this base underscore that's sort of flavored?
I do agree.
Everything is archetype of fighter.
If we're doing it from the perspective of like modern D&D, absolutely.
Yeah.
No one
I was
wants
thinking exactly
to,
what you thought.
It's like playing an MMO. It's like playing an MMO where your class options you can be the Arcanist, you can be the assassin, you can be Death Warrior, or you can be soldier.
I'm a soldier. Yeah, exactly.
Here's the thing about. I mean, the thing that drives me crazy is I do think that is something that can be solved, but the designers of the game, since its inception, keep insisting on fighters being like, okay, sometimes you crit better, and sometimes you wear armor heavier, and that's it. What it should be is like the battle mastery stuff in 5th edition should just be baseline fighter shit.
Yep.
The weapon mastery stuff they're adding in the new 1D&D stuff, that's great. Giving fighters have special techniques they can do in battle no one else can do. Fighters can do things with weapons that no one else can do. Fighting styles, don't even give that shit to fucking paladins or anyone. Make that a fighter-only thing. They can use weapons in ways no one else can.
Yeah.
And then that if fighters just had all that base, there would be a compelling reason to choose that over a paladin immediately. Because it's like, the paladin has healing and magic and stuff, but I can trip people as part of my attack, or I can use the greatsword in a super special way.
Was super cool in 4th edition.
Yes.
Because it's literally like, I'm like, I played a fighter in 4th edition. It's my character has a sword, and that's it. I've got an empty hand. and I'm built to actually do things that other classes can't do because I've got an empty hand.
You've heard the complaint about 4th edition all the time. Oh, everybody's a wizard. It's like, well, fucking duh. Have you played any other edition of D&D? Magic users are busted. They're fucking busted.
Well, that's what
everyone had to do. It's the only way to fix it.
Sorry, but that comment is from people that actually haven't played 4th edition.
Yes.
Because if you ever actually play a wizard in 4th edition, you feel like the most useless piece of shit. Every session, except for every 4th or 5th time where you happen to be in the right spot and you go, "Oh my god, I am a deity."
Playing a wizard or any magic user in 4th edition requires getting into the whole I'm a controller mindset, which most people who go in to play wizards are not there for.
Yeah.
Well, that's
not trained.
That's
to do.
what Ben was talking about. What we were talking about before is 4th edition does make it a level playing field because aesthetically you are the same as everybody else.
Yeah.
So everyone has similar ways of approaching it. Well, 5th is just and you control reality and fuck you if you're anything but that.
100%. I will say for old school D&D though, I'm still correct. For old school D&D.
Okay.
Because we're now flipping the script, right? Because 3rd edition and later, it's like, in 2nd edition, late 2nd edition, it's like, we have all these really cool, really hyper-specific classes you could be and do all these cool things.
Yeah.
In original D&D, you only have a couple classes. So they have to be able to handle pretty much any single archetype you can throw at them.
Yeah, totally.
A fighter being the one who's best at attack advancement, best at using weapons and armor, best at having hit points. You can do a lot of different fighters with that.
Yeah.
The thief being supernaturally good at a lot of skills, and then the magic users being the one that accesses spells. You could do a lot with that.
Yeah.
The cleric, as it stands in old school D&D, can only really be one thing, because it's like you were a guy who wears heavy armor, wields a mace, and prays to God to get spells. And it's
like an over specialization.
It's over specialized, because you could just have you could just roll the healing spells into the magic user and then just say, I'm a priest.
Yeah.
But the and then say, if I'm a crusader, just make them a fighter. Yeah. It's really weird it has the opposite problem that modern D&D did, where modern D&D does need over specialization. Earlier stuff, because you're running so fast and loose and need templates that cover way more situations. Because there's so many times that NPCs are like, they're a level 3 fighter. And you read it and like, okay, no, that makes total sense why they're a fighter. So you can't have stuff as specific as a cleric because it's like, I can't. So you're telling me no one's going to be able to heal unless they have fucking a medieval crusader in their party? They're the only ones who can heal in this world? What's going on? You know what I mean?
Because I was exactly thinking about your position, not with maybe your position at right now, but that's why I was like, fighter is an archetype of everything. So you should start out with the beginning editions. Here's the basic pillars of what you are.
Yeah.
And then everything is basically, if you're a martial class, is of fighter.
And they did that in 2nd edition, and they're porting that over to 1D&D, which is that there's the 4 roles. What is it?
Yeah.
Warrior, priest, mage, and
comic relief.
Thief. Huh?
Comic relief.
Comic
Bard.
relief. Thieves, bards, comic relief.
Yeah. Because we talk about a Conan.
They just need to make fighters better. I don't know what the fuck it is.
Get rid of default fighter. It's a tradition. Get rid of it.
The thief their role is comic relief. All right, so in this game where we do a bunch of monster combat and it's all about HP and stuff, let's just stop that real quick and watch someone go and open a chest that might blow up in their face.
I'm gonna
stop
go
that real quick and have someone.
around.
Let's see if you sneak around and people see you being stupid.
Nobody can see me.
Let's see if you can. Oh, you gotta climb the wall. Let's see if you fall down in your ass and hurt your little helmet.
Yeah, you fall in the trap.
Oh, time to. You're gonna try and poison the king. Oh, what if it slips and you get all good bad little tummy ache?
Yeah, true.
Being
a thief
sucks.
Skills are about comic relief.
Yeah, that's true. Because the only time you ever roll skill is if you'd fuck up doing something you should just do normally. You're such an idiot.
Because Bard is implied humor, but isn't it at all.
Yeah.
Because you're trying to be humorous. Well, Rogue is always if you fuck up, you're slipping on the banana and dying.
They should just add the fuck skill. Yeah. They just mask off, make it to where bards have proficiency in fucking, and then
they just say performance or something, but you're saying it needs to be specific.
There needs to be a fucking skill.
Isn't it 3.5 where you have specific.
I'm in.
I'm in. Yeah.
I opened the keyhole. If you get what I mean. No,
Yeah.
I mean, why? I don't think you should get rid of fighter. I just described ways that you could keep fighter. But if you're not going to do any of those, then yeah, get rid of it.
Well,
I don't know why
fighter
game
as
designers insist on still making the fighter. Oh, they're just milk.
Well,
toast.
fighter
It's like,
as
you
a
can't do that anymore.
endpoint when it should be goes away immediately.
No, I disagree.
You should be an end game
I
fighter.
just described. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
but
just
you're-
described.
yeah,
If
but
you
you-
have a bunch of fucking maneuvers, special ways to use weapons, all this stuff that's baked into the fighter, and not like kind of, oh, I guess we'll tack this on as a subclass.
Right, but wouldn't
like,
you
what
just
else do we
be-
come up with?
Well, wouldn't you just be a monk who has specialized ways of doing things? You'd be a style of monk.
No, because everybody uses weapons, but only fighters have the mastery stuff. Everybody can like trip in combat or whatever, but only fighters are like, oh, instead of making an opposed strength check, I just roll a D8, and if it's bigger than your strength score, I trip you, strength mod, I trip you as part of my attack.
Right, yeah.
Only fighters should have the fighting style where it's like, yeah, everyone can use shields or shoot bows or stuff like that, but I do it way better. Or
So
do it
fighters
differently.
are like should only have feats. Fighters should have the feats.
That's how it was in 3rd edition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honestly, 3rd edition fighters were still pretty great. They were
Yeah.
still overshadowed by wizards because everybody's always been
Most
overshadowed by
competitive
wizards.
3rd edition builds were like 3 or 2 levels of dips and some like 1 or 2 classes and the rest fighter.
Yep.
There's always ton of fighter, 3 levels of rogue, and then some other class.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Fighter rogues were what's up.
Yeah. So you're saying you know how to fix it.
Yes, I'm saying I know how to fix it, but the people who design D&D just seem not at all invested in fixing it. They just leave it like, oh, give it 1 more crit range and more hit points in. Oh, that's fighter, baby. Knock that off the list. Let's go do the other things.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, either get rid of it or make it its own thing.
Yeah.
Make it something people want to choose.
Yeah. And I'm saying
You know.
it way 5th does it. It's so broad. I'm saying get rid of it.
They,
But I agree. You
they
have a
need to
good
completely.
Yeah.
They've done some things to help revamp the fighter, but it's not enough. They need
Yeah.
to make it an attractive
Yeah,
choice.
I think you definitely fix it because I think feats when 5th started out were really cool, and then it took some time, and then we realized like whatever.
Yeah.
Feats were so unfun
I mean, they're re-adding
the last couple years.
They're re-adding feats. They realized that was probably the worst thing they could have done from like 3rd into 5th because 4th had a completely different design philosophy. They dumped all the feats because they didn't want to do a 3rd edition because they were afraid of like, people not liking feats. But then they realized because there's so many, they're re-adding feats for as a whole thing, and it's like, well, good, because that's what made half of this shit either customized to my needs or good.
Yeah.
Well,
You
yeah, because if you got a
know?
feat, you automatically felt much stronger in 5th
Yeah.
Yeah.
edition. It wasn't incremental. It was I can do a lot more now.
Yeah.
Even if it was just like because it wasn't a stat necessarily. It was something written like a spell
Yeah.
that you could do all the time.
Yep.
So feats were always more impactful than your level up in a lot of cases.
And they're still going to be that way.
Early,
Like, they're just adding
early on.
level caps and feat chains and stuff like the good old
But I would agree
days,
with you.
know?
I think that limiting feats to way more of a fighter specialty instead of like, all we're gonna do is a wizard spell sniper. What else are you gonna do?
Yeah,
Like,
well, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Yeah, what the
and
hell
then no one
else?
lets
Yeah.
you do spell sniper anyways. Oh, I can shoot 600 feet. Well, we're always in dungeons, and you can't see. There's buildings in the way. Like, what was the point of spell sniper?
It also doesn't matter if you're in Theater of the Mind. Nothing is, and
Doesn't
even
matter.
in the base game, nothing's ever going to be 600 feet away.
Ooh,
Especially
if you
now.
play like the online versions.
Well,
Yeah.
what I will say is like a big reason why they're making all these rule changes is because they are trying to make it to where the game can be run by a machine and can be put into their virtual tabletop. Like all the rules are mechanized.
Yeah.
And I bet you they're probably not really going to find. Well, no, I guess that's not because Ryan's game is the one that Spell Sniper.
That's
ended up
what I'm
being really
saying.
important. Never
Yeah.
mind.
Movement
Yeah.
and spell
Yeah.
sniper, which I don't
Yep.
know if any of us ended up using spell sniper, but movement ended up being literally 90% of what you cared about in that game. Because there was so much room for everything that if you couldn't get to the point, it didn't matter what happened. It honestly never mattered. It was moving was the only thing we cared about.
The more you digitize something into a visual
Oh my
medium,
God.
movement's going to become more important.
Way
Yeah,
more important
Baldur's Gate
when you're
did
actually
that too.
tracking the.
Because then imagine you're playing a newer a D&D game where someone it's the enemy's turn. They cast a fireball. Well, you as a ranger have an ability as a reaction that allows you to immediately spend this much meters of movement
Mhm.
and get to a different position.
And be completely hidden and never get hit by it.
Yeah.
That really just mattered like way more than it would in like Theater of the
they would
Mind
have
or
to get
whatever.
rid of Spell Sniper, which I forgot what it does. Baldur's Gate completely changed it. Completely nerfed it.
I think a lot of systems that they're changing are probably based on the Baldur's Gate stuff because the people at Larian Studios are fucking geniuses.
Have to be, yeah.
I was gonna ask. Well, I mean, we played the beta, so we understand at least this much. But you've actually been playing it.
He's played it more than me, really.
Oh, really? The new Baldur's Gate?
Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't played in a while, but
basically, from what I understand, when I played the beta, when it came out, or the alpha, I guess, when I played the beta, it was like playing it and being like, oh, this is how 5th edition is supposed to run.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I don't know
totally
if it
does
still
feel
the
like
same.
that.
It
Yep.
feels like that? Okay.
Yeah.
It totally is like, why isn't like this? Why is this way better than the actual? Because, feats are so much different.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, wait, I know this feat, and you look it up in the chart, it's completely different.
Yeah.
It's a completely different way of how it approaches it.
Huh.
In almost every feat, I don't know, because like Observant, how would Observant fucking work? So every feat is completely gamified in it.
They should have
not close the same.
They should have just commissioned Larian Studios to write the new 1D&D books. Just have the people who did their game design just go and write the new rules. Just
There's stuff like momentum. I don't know too much in the Baldur's Gate, but you get items that help momentum and stuff. I think it's like actions.
yeah, that's the main difference is the incentives of escalation. It's not about really leveling up. It's about the item creep. Because it's back to a 3rd edition game where there's no limit to how many magic items you can have.
Oh my,
So each magic item does weird, cool things. So you're always hunting for another trinket that you can swap out or switch or give to someone else, or find trinkets that then suddenly it's like, oh, you can read it and examine an inscription and then like interact in a way, and then suddenly you're activating this secret spell that's a plot item.
I think moving away from Diablo style fucking colored magic items system, big number go up game design like what 3rd edition had and Pathfinder definitely doubled down on. I think that was a mistake. I loved getting new magic item. I loved making number go up.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's still 5th edition locked, so when you find an item that does something, it's either +1, it's just a base increase,
very limited,
or it goes, add an extra D4 to every time you deal thrown damage.
Yeah,
I love you.
Go ahead and take a bonus action as a short rest. Go at any weird toggle
when you rage,
thing.
you get temp HP.
When you rage, you get temp HP. Yeah. When you heal someone else, you also then get inspiration.
Yep.
Oh, there's so much cool so they really played around with the utility
build
and the
kits and
interactability.
stuff.
You can
if you're like, I'm playing a barbarian, you can find the right barbarian items to completely just interact and change how
they give a shit
works.
about monks too for once in their life, because apparently monk is like the biggest one.
Why aren't they just? Here's the thing too. The D&D movie was moderately successful. I don't think it blew anything out of the water, but it definitely made its budget back. People are fucking gobbling up Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Why aren't they just designing the new rules off of Baldur's Gate 3? It'd be so much easier. They wouldn't be fucking around with all this dumb shit. They wouldn't make any of the same missteps. They needed to make it work on a virtual tabletop anyway. Fuck it. You know what? I might be biased because Divinity Original Sin 2 is my favorite game of all time. Yeah. Just have Larian Studios buy D&D. Wizards just sell it to Larian Studios. Fuck it. Who cares? Just have them do it.
5th now with all this time is very ethereal. Like does not work on a computer game at all. I mean, 5th edition on Baldur's Gate is I don't know what they call it, a ghost or something, a simulacrum. It is not the same at all. Yeah, you have advantage, disadvantage. The amount of you could tell beta testing that took those years is insane. Like I said, every feat is completely rule tooled.
Right.
It is. You can't even call it 5th.
But it really is not. The whole
5th.
point of 1D
Savage
is to
Attacker.
do what.
When you roll damage, roll it twice and pick the bigger one.
Right. That's
it.
Yeah.
Not once per turn, not once on your turn, not roll one die. When you roll damage, roll twice and it makes the bigger one.
That's fucking beautiful.
Because the computer's rolling it anyway.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Is 1D&D ostensibly is supposed to be doing what Baldur's Gate 3 is doing now. Yeah. Especially because Wizards is trying to monetize D&D a lot more digitally and actually make a virtual tabletop, which, based on how that all went with 4th edition, I really actually doubt it's going to really come through. Yeah. But, like, that's beautiful. The Savage Hacker thing, that's fucking gorgeous. And it's like, just fucking they already have Kobold Press writing half their books. Yeah. Just license Larian Studios to make the new round of rule books so they can get their virtual tabletop. Nobody's fucking complaining. Everybody already loves Baldur's Gate 3. Fuck it. Call it 6th edition. Who cares? Call it Baldur's Gate 3 edition. Like, fuck it, just do it. Just do it. Now, strike while the iron's hot.
I would be a little contrarian about the idea of... Because wouldn't it be just like V2 of Pathfinder if it became that? Because isn't Pathfinder V2 heavily computerized in a way? Because you guys get to play. I was busy at those times.
Pathfinder 2nd edition is definitely more 4th edition inspired.
Yeah.
But it's a different game from Pathfinder 1. There's no compatibility.
Okay. Well, I'm saying my point is that if 5th wants to be successful, it would very much keep the ethereal line, probably dial it back with the etherealness. Because, again, you could only get to level 12 of Baldur's Gate 3 because literally how the game is ran is usually level 10 to 11. You're doing stuff that's completely theater of the mind. It is not possible to put it in a game without having an MMR RPG amount of 50 years and where people are not going to care about the game anymore to do that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I would say, yes, find out what works in Baldur's Gate and then keep the RPG part about it in the tabletop.
Brain space.
Keep brain space parts of it. Don't force it to be always numbers, which I feel like they're going to try to do.
I think that's what they're trying. Yeah,
but try to keep the heart of the game back into the like the original editions, which is all tons of stuff you got to do on your own in your mind. Yes, tons of it is like you said, pen and paper, a lot of numbers, but a lot of it is expanding upon very little things. You're expanding much more.
Thank.
And so, I think 5th would be okay. Let's see what we can add numbers to, and let's see some ethereal stuff like. There's illusion wizards that make things real.
I see what you're
saying.
Not
possible to do in a video game.
You want to keep the strengths of the medium.
Find out the middle.
6th edition is you have to pay a monthly subscription, and 5 times a month you can go online and you talk to a guy that's a silhouette of whatever you designed the DM you want to be.
Yeah.
And he describes to you what happens for 40 minutes.
Second Life.
Were you on?
And you then can pay just like 99 cents more for another 20 minutes. And you can do that up to an hour and a half, and then it concludes.
Did you see the fucking... Do you know that green text that got made?
No.
So on 4chan, around 2008, when 4th edition was coming out, it was the people from 3rd edition are saying, it's D&D 6th edition. You go insert your new module program. The automated GM does this and this. You get rewards at the end. Nice. You're literally... That joke has been around now for fucking 12 years.
Nice.
Yeah, because they're actually trying to do that now.
Because they do
actually
that.
Are.
They inch closer to it every time.
Yeah.
So that is what you were describing right now. That is a fear that people have been having for a long time, and every year or every edition, it inches just a little bit towards more. It's because they wish they could cash in on that MMO money. Wizards wish they could have the fucking in 4th edition. They wish they had the MMO money, and then in 5th edition, they wish they had the fucking Roll20 money. That's what they want.
But I think community is still is the pillar that they keep forgetting. That's about it. So if you have this virtual DM you're always talking to, it's the same thing as my group did this last night. Is it awesome? And you're like, I don't know, dude. That sounds fun for you. Yeah. I don't need to hear about your goblin.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah. So doing that is so isolating because it's dude, guess what the virtual DM did with me? I'd be like Chat GGP. It's guess what I said to Chat. And you're like,
oh my god, guess what
man.
Chat GPT told me?
Yeah, it's good for you.
Chat GPT. That's I had another date last night.
That's
you wouldn't imagine where we went.
That's Casey and I did our own thing, which is trying to waffle stomp. Asking it, but that's still a community fun with it. We both had that independently, but imagine.
Can you imagine all these people that are getting into D&D because of Baldur's Gate and they're having so much fun connecting with other people, describing what they did, and then they'd play their first D&D game, and then they're trying to talk to those same people, and then they get the alienating responses like, "Why are you telling me about this? Your character fell down a window, and then they humped a goblin, and they got. Why does this matter?" And they're like, "Oh."
Yeah. Well, you're getting to the point.
This isn't cool anymore.
Well, you're getting perfectly to the point. people playing Baldur's Gate 3 and talking about their separate paths is fun because we all get to talk about our own collective of the same thing.
Yeah.
But if you are talking to a virtual DM who could literally do anything, you're going to be like, there's a world with big boobs happens and I'm walking in, there's big boobs.
That's why.
Go away.
That's why they would do a virtual DM system that's independent but locked in a living world campaign setting.
It would
the
help.
same format that they've done before.
Yeah.
But
So the entire incentive is,
Yeah.
you spending time alone, you're actually interacting in a world full of other people doing the same thing. Meaning that if people are spending more time and investing more of their money, they might be getting further in the world than you and finding out secrets
FOMO? That's
that
the
we
key,
have
baby.
built in our season pass.
Yeah. I don't see it. It's too
Role play
isolating.
enough, and you might be able to unlock Chris Perkins as a DM every few months.
Can I play Will Wheaton? Can I play Will Wheaton?
I would still argue it's too isolating.
Yeah,
because
it is.
If you're DMing with a group, I mean that's still like it's just dead. I mean, I remember when we remember
But I'm just saying, if COVID
Remember
lockdown,
we-
if COVID
we've done this
lockdown
before.
continued, it was indefinite. This is exactly what Wizards
No,
of the
but
Coast
we
would
have-
done.
Yes.
Funny enough,
they wanted that.
It'd be a dystopian.
All companies wanted
It's
that.
like,
They wanted to
and
captive
we'd all be
audience.
like, let's play D&D, and we all log into our own stories and be like, what happened in yours? Oh, this is what happened. Okay, whoa.
But
And
we
that's
actually
it.
have done this
Fuck.
before. If you remember, there's a website where we all share one story. Remember that?
What was that?
Remember that website where I would input my character did this, and then it would translate, and we confused the hell of it, and how boring it got in the middle, like after 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it was like I poopied and peed, and then I walked up, and then like Casey would be like, I pooped on his pee. Remember that?
Is it like the AI dungeon
Yep.
thing?
Yes. Maybe, that was it,
AI
yeah.
dungeon thing.
Oh,
And
so
it got old quick.
I know exactly what you're talking about, and something that I learned that's interesting. So unfortunately, I mean, Wizards is gonna. They've talked about, we're gonna try and pilot like a virtual AI DM thing. So they absolutely are gonna do that. I didn't know this, but so Luke Crane is currently he founded a project about a year ago called Voice of Fire, which is apparently going to be trying to do AI with RPGs, basically make AI tools. But here's the thing.
Okay.
Luke Crane just released PDFs of the Burning Wheel for the first time, and it's only because changes to how Adobe InDesign worked made it to where he can no longer actually edit the files. so the books are finalized now.
Oh, okay.
If there's anybody I trust with trying to find ways to make AI more of a tool rather than an exploitative overall consuming experience, it's him, the Luddite who didn't release PDFs until 2023.
I mean, that is
You know what I mean?
the basic thing we're talking about. It encompasses is what people found that if you make ChatGPT a crutch to yourself, it's always bad. Hey, I need to learn programming. It programs for me. What people say is no. You ask it to not do it for you, but ask for advice.
It's an aggregator.
Use it only as a tool, or you're screwing yourself.
Exactly.
Same thing. Yeah, D&D. What are my characters going to do next? No, don't do that.
Yeah, sometimes it's just like, I just need some names, man.
Make some names.
There's a store they're walking to. I don't know what's in there, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Give me some stuff.
Maybe use it as a brain fart, and you have nothing to go for, and it's a jumping off point. Don't use it as your character does something. You looked at it and you typed down what the character does to ChatGPT.
Ooh, yay. Ooh, yay, my goblin saw tits. My goblin saw tits.
Goblin saw tits.
My goblin saw tits.
Wow.
But it's like anything that except being a tool is a detriment to your own psyche, really.
It is 100%. It is a huge fucking crutch. And I will. I don't think we've ever really talked much about things our characters have done on this podcast because, as we've established, that's a lame thing to do.
Yeah.
We have. We totally have.
We have. No, we haven't.
Oh, we
that
totally
much.
have.
Probably, maybe a little.
Dench. You've talked about Dench before.
I've
Casey's talked about his characters
alluded
before.
to Dench.
He literally talked about his Cobalt the last few times.
We've talked about character concepts. We haven't done the whole, oh my god, you won't believe what happened in our game.
We did not go that far.
Because that stuff sucks. And if that becomes the predominant way, because that's what you're saying, is if you have virtual environments and AI running everything, then you will no longer ever have to talk about the game. You just talk about what happened in it.
Yeah.
And then
It
this
becomes like a
podcast-
TV show.
Yeah.
Well, to me, you miss the community. That's why Baldur's Gate 3, it's fun because we all have a shared community about how the game is.
Yeah.
Yes.
But at AI, like you're saying, even if it's established settings, unless they do force you to do certain things that you couldn't ever do besides it, like completely changing the world every time you're in there necessarily, then yes, maybe there would be a collective idea. But then, like, the suggestion of AI usually means something huge and encompassing.
The moment you would stop doing even basic theory crafting is the moment the game dies. The moment that that the game, the only thing you can share, discuss, and talk about is your individuated experiences in a game that only you care about, is the moment that, like, the medium is in big trouble, which is what D&D's trying to do, because you said it's like a TV show. Yep. They want it to be like a TV show because it's easier to monetize that way.
Yeah, I mean, it's like talking about a story. Like, Casey would be like, hey, here's a new Brandon Sanderson book, but only I have read it and no one else can.
Let me describe the plot to you.
And it's like, you can never read it. I'll be like, good for you. But then as soon as you describe a story that you had a great time with and you can share that and I can feel the same thing or even more, that's huge. That's exactly what we're looking for with anything we play. But you're like, like Martin Shkreli. I bought the only Wu-Tang album because I bought it off auction. No one else can listen to it. I don't think he ever described listening to it.
No.
But it's exactly, that's the problem. You sharing a fantasy book you love is expressing something you're like, I'm so excited for you to enjoy it. Not about yourself.
That's why I'm like, I'm so
else.
excited about this music I'm working on, and you're like, it doesn't exist because it doesn't. I'm like, but it's so good. Can't you hear it?
No, but you're still talking about a potential.
Man, I'm so happy for you.
I'm so happy for you.
But you're still talking about a potential that you can do.
Could be.
If it's like, that's the problem with sometimes they say about, I don't think this applies because you're doing it, but okay, I'm going to lose weight or something, and then you say that every week and don't do anything about it.
You talk all the time about losing weight, but don't lose the weight.
Yeah.
Shit like that.
But you're walking the walk.
You have talked all the time about you doing music, and then you showed me a demo track. Yeah. That's way different.
Right.
I've talked for track marks for
a completion, in a way.
Expressing completion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But track marks,
you
get
hear
track
me expressing completion.
It's not you saying, like, oh, I'm going to,
okay,
I'm making an addition. Yeah, I'm making track marks.
It took me 12 years, but I have something to show for it.
And you can show the game and we can play it together. Yep. It is a community-based
If you
thing.
come over and tell me about, like, oh my God, you wouldn't believe it. The Bard was making funny fart noises.
Oh my God.
And it was
That's
so
how
funny.
it's written usually.
Yeah, and then you're like, oh,
Cthulhu
cool.
showed up
care.
and the Bard had sex with Cthulhu.
Oh my God, the Bard had sex with Cthulhu.
Well, it's also, you're describing you're alienating the person you're talking to and describing an in-joke that they never can experience.
Yeah.
And it's not even something you can go, cool, well, I would love to experience that. Can you give it to me in a product form? No. It's something only I can experience.
If it's in a podcast,
yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But even like, I'm not. I mean, Critical Role.
But then you're getting,
20.
but then that's another level.
There's
where
still,
now you have this vicariousness of I don't actually need to play D&D because I'm watching other people play.
But even then,
which we're about to do. If that sounds cool to you, it's only $4 a month.
It's gonna be great.
No, but okay. There's still, as soon as you add a shareable element to it, people can start enjoying it.
Yeah.
But the biggest thing is, guess what my goblin did last night? And you're like, it must be. It was time. Never mind. It's not. Sorry.
Time.
No, my phone tells me when it hits a specific time.
Oh wow. He doesn't like that time.
When it gets to that time,
you better not be near.
No, but if you give
1 minute after then, in the clear, you're good.
If you give it
that 60 seconds is harrowing.
That sounds like a good therapy. That sounds like a good made up like self-help therapy thing. It'd be like, dealing with anger. It's a very fluctuating thing, but there's ways you can control that. Like, just pick a minute of each day. Just pick 1 minute. Keep it on a regular routine. Just be as angry as you can for that minute.
Honestly, that actually sounds like real people say. Yeah.
People are in the room. Kill them.
I mean, there is. So it is against what you're saying, but in a way, which is that don't exercise angry because it messes you up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because then whenever you feel that, you associate feelings of anger with.
Don't be angry when you're exercising. I mean, obviously, there's times you can be. But don't make it I'm my built most self when angry because
that same
psychologically
reason
messes you up.
All right, so this brings us back around to the discussion of masturbating before you think you're gonna die.
Oh,
Right,
damn.
right.
Yeah. Because
you're talking about you're ready for it.
Yeah. It's ready for it. So the thing is, if you work out when you're angry, then you're associating, you're connecting those. So what does it say when you reach for the old hog right before the lights go out?
Well, because it'd be like,
how have you conditioned yourself?
you spend when you're not working, you're gooning, and you're not gonna stop now.
Yeah. But yeah,
So,
don't have bad associations,
Now that we are 59 minutes in.
This went way quicker than last time.
This did go way quicker.
It
right.
did.
Last time was,
the questions help, man.
It did. Do we want to hear my answer?
Oh my God, you're right.
No. Turn it off.
That's true. I think you didn't ever say
Can you guess my answer?
He's the mastermind.
Get rid of
Bard.
No, are you kidding me? No, there's one class.
Warlock.
There's one class
Warlock would
that
be
I
true
think.
for fourth.
No.
Rogue.
Warlock's even
Sorcerer.
fine. No.
Wizard.
The one to get rid of is fucking Druid.
Yes. Yep.
What is its point?
Yep.
What is up with the Druid?
Yeah.
The Druid is just a different type of priest. You already have nature priests. Priests are already separated in domains. So then why do you have a class that is the priest but a tighter, smaller spell list that is mixed in with some wizard spells that nobody picks?
I wonder if I think we're thinking the same thing, but go ahead.
Druids get wild shape. Druids get the Funko Pop of D&D
I was
powers.
actually going to be more.
And so why do Druids get wild shape? Something that could definitely fit within the realm of like a transmutation wizard.
No,
they already get polymorph and everything.
Yeah.
Except then those stats work completely different to how a wild shape works.
Oh no, to me it's historical because we don't treat shamans as priests. They're historically, we are Christians and we are different than those shamans.
And that's actually
that's
my
angle.
The same.
I like that.
That's
angle.
like same angle that rips down the argument for Jimmy of saying for the original D&D, get rid of the priest. If you stick with you want to stick to original D&D, you can't get rid of the priest.
Yeah.
Why? Because then if you get rid of the priest, what you're saying about magic is whether it's good or bad, it all comes from the same damn thing. And D&D could not have that. It could have it in its earliest versions, but not in the way it was published.
Wasn't it you saying cleric, not priest?
Well, it's cleric, but no, you're right. If we took out the cleric and then put healing powers and things that are typically seen, things that Jesus did, and then put that in the realm of the magic user, that would be heresy of the utmost degree.
Yeah,
and I don't even think that was something Gary Gygax was consciously thinking of. Yeah. But to do that would be anathema. Yeah, and the same thing would be here. I think you would all of a sudden have a lot of people get weirdly uncomfortable about D&D if they folded the druid stuff into other things.
I mean, I feel like it now is...
The thing is, that's different. True from a historical context, and it makes sense of why the druid came about.
They're the shamans, we're the true healers.
But now...
They don't do the right thing.
Now it's in the emergence of D&D,
it's so mixed
what's the point of a druid?
Wild shape. Literally, at this point, I think Matt's
one trick pony.
Matt's right up until fairly recently in the great mainstreaming of D&D. Yep. Now... The problem is literally because people are like, I want to turn into a squirrel, and my stat blocks are useless, and I can't fucking do anything. It's a comic relief thing.
It's not. The thing is, it's not a comic relief.
It is.
The thing is, the druid doesn't even supply that. There is no comic relief.
Usually.
I disagree because if anything, the D&D movie and the Baldur's Gate game proved how most people think about druid. Which is, all the instances of wild shape in the D&D movie were like, oh, I get to do my special, funny, cool animal thing, and in Baldur's Gate 3, you're a bear that fucks.
So I agree with Baldur's Gate 3.
So everyone that likes druids are furries or the unbearable comic relief, or the unbearable goblin player. That's it. Those are the two types of druid players.
I would disagree with the movie though. I don't think it did any of that in the movie. But yes, Baldur's Gate.
Okay,
I agree with Baldur's Gate. In the movie, there's a scene where they change this multiple times. That was not a comic.
But the thing is, nobody plays druid in Baldur's Gate. It is the least played class in the entire game.
No, that's cleric.
Is it
that's
really?
Historically cleric. They literally said cleric. It's not druid.
It is. I know why it's cleric, but the thing is, that's a completely different argument. It really is a completely different argument.
I think you are saying I am interpreting it differently because they said they'd never pick. Shadowheart is the most left.
Yes.
So I think I agree. I see what you're saying. You're saying something else. I'm saying it slightly different level. So no one picks Shadowheart.
But removing those games entirely how are druids played at the table?
Magic users.
Typically just a magic user.
Typical magic users.
Because they're one
Slayling.
thing.
How are they supposed to be role played at the table?
Magic users.
How is a druid supposed to be role played in accordance with its actual lore and intentions?
Well, the only answer
Having a druid in the party
Sorry,
is
sorry.
more difficult in D&D than having a paladin who's adherent to oaths.
The only guidance we have for how to play a druid is in Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, because they
Yes.
go in at length about like, oh, druids. There's actually a limited number of druids in the world, and they all learn from other people. There can only be a certain number of druids of a certain level at any given time.
Yeah.
Okay,
like there's a whole
makes sense.
paladin-esque thing that goes into it, and then they removed all that.
Yeah, wouldn't it be because historically you are the druid of this land, like Lord of the Rings?
You're of
not
this
a random
circle.
druid. You are of the land.
It's a pagan thing that they were trying to allude to, which
Yeah.
is like, there's only like certain numbers in these certain circles.
Oh, okay.
And also, I think they were just kind of lacquering on some just general occultism kind of stuff.
Oh, okay. I thought it was just because like it's land based. You're not really a moving around druid. You're a land guardian.
It is
Yes.
kind of like that.
That's what I'm alluding
that is
to.
the
That
idea.
you are correct.
Yeah.
In modern D&D, if the only distinction of why druid is around is because of wild shape,
And yeah, you're right.
And I think that is
literally the only
if
reason.
that
I
is
think it's the
why,
only distinction. Yeah.
then
Move it to cleric.
do people play druids to be able to turn into every single type of creature?
yes.
You can't. You're not. No one ever allows you to do that.
Yeah,
Fifth
no one
edition
ever lets you,
specifically
but-
caps you with fishing, swimming, and then flying. Even though I forgot about that, so I was flying the first few levels of Ryan's game.
yeah.
But I wasn't abusing it.
If you have a
I really
class where their only power of distinction,
Yeah.
anything that matters, is turning into anything you want, but then it's locked into a mechanical game that incentivizes only 5% of the other 90% of all possible options really aren't the best option.
They're either useless or not allowed.
So you're not playing
Yes.
a character.
Yep.
You're not playing a character because while you're whatever you've named your character, how they dress, none of that matters, because as soon as it's time for you to be relevant, you have to turn into
Bear.
a part of the game. You're playing
Oh,
a
that's
monster.
true. You
You're
turn into a
playing the
stat block.
monster
Yeah.
manual.
Yeah.
And you're not playing the monster manual of the type of creature that you like or that makes sense, that is inviting to your
limited.
creativity. You're having to turn into whatever monster makes the most sense to win.
Yep. I had
matter.
When I was playing Fendelver, I was literally looking up tier lists.
And as soon as you're done,
it
Yeah.
was pointless without it.
as
Yeah,
soon as you're
holy
done
shit,
in
that's
combat,
crazy.
as soon as you're done in combat, you
Yeah.
turn back into a character that
Not wild shaping.
is not wild shaping and
Yeah.
is in that case not relevant. Your spells rarely come up.
Turn to
When
squirrel
they
now.
do,
Yeah.
when they do, it's
Yeah.
already assumed that that's something you should be able to do because you're just kind of like the nature guy.
Yeah.
So you never get to. I'll cast speak with plants. Okay, we already knew that you were kind of going to do that. The plants are plants, so they don't really know shit because they're plants. You didn't
I
expect
know.
that.
Never get to use it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
plants don't.
ever.
There's no rules or
Ever.
guidance for plants having a regular awareness or how they might communicate or things that they
Extremely
might
limited
be picked
beings.
up.
Yeah.
There's no guidance on the magic of druids at all
Yep.
in D&D.
Fourth
except
gave
in
you
extreme.
primal powers.
So the thing
Fourth
is,
had a direction for
if
it.
you have
They did,
druids
yeah.
emerging, they have to be built around wild shape. If you have wild shape allowing to turn into everything, it creates a problem of truly only a few options become necessary. That means that you have to remove druid away from interacting with the monster manual. You have to make whatever wild shape is personal. Ooh, we've run into the same problem with a fighter. You only have
I
one
like this.
job.
Okay.
Your whole thing is, I swing sword. This is how I interact.
After that, go fuck away.
Yeah.
If you're a fighter, you can go, I interact with world by have shield to protect and small sword. I do it with big sword. I do with axe. I do with mace.
And here's the thing.
And I only get better
yeah.
with that.
But
So druid then has to have a feat line that only customizes wild shape.
But-
and then determines even more complicated ways of, you can't do these things unless you have
which
these
admittedly
steps.
Pathfinder already has.
Yes, Pathfinder does that.
But they do that, which, but unfortunately, it's not Pathfinder. We're talking about
Yeah.
D&D. But what I like, you're right. The fighter and the druid. That's an interesting way to put it, to distill it. is that the fighter and the druid fundamentally have the same problem. The thing is the fighter has plenty of material that already exists that could be implemented in a way that fixes the fighter.
It's better built. Yeah.
Yep, the druid.
That's the default.
And
There's nothing. Just pick a magic. You just pick a wizard.
The fighter also pays respect to the design of the player that's having their character advance through a story.
Like a Lego.
If a druid advances in the story, really with how they're interacting with the world, because they have to rely on wild shape, nothing about their
just
character
make the
changes.
druid a type of warlock.
I have
barbarian tokens.
I have another historical thing to bring up, which is that in folklore, who's the druids? The gods, not the players.
Yeah,
they are not people that affect the world. They are the hermits that are helping the character.
Yeah, that's
having
true.
a godlike character in
yeah.
your party that is specifically in actual folklore, in any folklore, a druid is a shaman, but most likely they are helping the player, helping the protagonist, not players.
In Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, that's how the druid was. The reason why you wouldn't pick some of these subclasses over a normal cleric or a normal fighter is how limiting it was. If you were a druid, like
you're a plot point.
You are a plot point
in the folklore,
and in a game like AD&D, old school D&D, that's fine because eventually you become level 10 and you're playing and then you change the world and you're playing like a big player and you're playing a war game at that point anyway. Yep. So of course it makes sense to play a druid because then other players or the same players will make level 1 characters who then can go to your druid to get guidance
and then you're the plot point. Yeah,
and then you're the plot point. But that's not how modern D&D works.
No.
So it's like
it's very message.
You know how druids make sense mechanically in D&D. If they worked like bards. That's it.
They fucked. What is
animals? They already fucked bears.
No, Bard's entire mechanic. Bard's entire mechanic is by adding and shifting equilibrium, balance during gameplay.
Distortion.
Yeah. If you have a druid that worked like a bard, constantly interacting with changing the balance between how combat is working. I mean, that's originating from their character.
That's also super historical. Music is all true. Shamans have music as a connection. You're totally right.
Doing environmental
stuff literally cool. As a shaman, I literally was reading that shaman book. Yes, they are musicians a lot of the time.
Which is why the original bard was you had to have a certain number of fighter levels, a certain number of thief levels, and then a certain number of druid-specific drop-down of priests.
They also talk about and
then you qualify to be called a bard.
One of the most common custom classes for old school D&D is the Skald, which is like a barbarian bard.
Yeah.
So that also fits within how generally people think about. And you're right with the stuff about bard and like that. Yeah. I think it would be. I think in modern D&D though, druid should almost be. It's already a sub thing to the barbarian. It should be like a nature oath that the warlock can make. We already have nature priests. You could add like a Skald nature thing to the bard. Druid works best as a flavor in a lot of other different classes to add kind of a cultural, pagan kind of veneer to it. It doesn't make sense as its own class, though.
No.
Yeah, because like there's the herbalist, which is you could definitely be distinct. Even like a wizard is a herbalist, artificer, and then a lot of the stuff is like glued together historical cultural issues,
and then it's just and then they just kept it.
Like totally as a bard, I would totally agree. A distinct part of a shaman is music.
Because then imagine if you would have a druid class, it would have to operate and work like a bard. Then you could just have the bard be an offshoot of that. Have it focus on instrumentation, focus on the actual physical aspects.
Rhythm of the world.
Yeah.
It would be cool if they brought back the hybrid class sort of thing from 4th edition where you can mash together different class options because then you could do stuff like that. You could make like the Barbarian Bard as a Skald. They have that. They have it written up ready to go.
Because back in 4th edition, all you had to do is, you want to play 2 classes? Okay, you pick one at will from that one and one at will from the other. Yeah. Then you can pick an encounter. Then you can pick it daily.
Yes, true.
It's so awesome.
I don't think I did it too much, but
if you pick an encounter from one, you got to pick the daily from the other. It just sounds like rules that someone made up while you're like, "Can I do this?" I'm like, I don't know.
Do it.
Just pick one and the other.
I fucking miss powers,
and it
man.
works.
I miss powers so goddamn much. All I had to do was write down my powers on some index cards, and it was like, there we go.
When you really think about it, like what we're talking about is literally seeing concepts in vacuums.
Yeah.
Like it really is. Like I never see druids as bards. But that's what they are.
100%.
They are there is distinctly herbalist versions, but true shamans of most cultures, if not all of them, music is ingrained to them.
Yep.
Without music, shamans are nothing.
The only reason why they're still around is because they're an artifact back from literally the 80s.
And that's why I'm arguing with fighter is it's an artifact of, I'm playing the fighter. But I'm saying fighter is like a baseline of everything.
That's why people talk about all the time to play other systems. Well, we talk about all the time to play other shit besides D&D, because D&D is weighed down by over 50 years of iterative game design.
Yeah.
It is. I don't think we'll ever see them get rid of the druid. They can't ever do that.
What we're talking about
too late.
is like making it make sense, but then back to being interesting. And connecting it culturally to stuff would be incredibly inspirational for people.
It would also be one of those
Completely
things.
change
They
that.
talk about like diversity a lot, at Wizards now. And it's like, well, that's one hell of a way to do it. Instead of taking all of everything that's not Christian and throwing it into the druid class, which doesn't really belong there. That is kind of weird.
It's just a cultural artifact.
Yeah.
Completely.
And a game design
artifact. You're doing it from demonic stuff. Oh, well, I'm just doing it from earth and stuff. Oh, I'm doing it too, but like my God says it's cool. Your God says bad. Yeah. Okay, what's the difference of us? Well, it's because of thousands of years of historical connections to
Fourth edition did it correct. I feel like the druid, I can't remember right, but the druid is even a little bit weird in 4th edition.
Because they baseline.
But the thing is, it still worked better because it was more Flash interacting with wild shape and stuff. Your character still existed functionally.
Well, yeah,
I
the
don't
primal
remember
powers
much about the druid.
Yeah, because it was, hey, you're a deity of the primal.
The thing is when you did a wild shape, it was a daily. It was a daily when you wild shaped.
Only one daily?
Yeah,
that's true.
Because it was a big deal. But the thing is, you could pick the wild shaping druid, because remember, you'd also have a subclass that would have a few features that would change how your stuff worked. So if you were a wild shaping druid, then those are your focus. But you could also be like, I'm the big weather electrical storm druid.
So wild shape is an at-will power to change into and out of beast form as a minor action once per round. Okay. Powers with the beast form keyword can only be used while in beast form.
That's what it was. They had beast form side.
Yes, because it was so Lego.
And then weapon and implement tagged powers couldn't be used while in beast form.
That makes
sense.
So
you literally just switch between 2 modes.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That was easy.
Because what people did get tired of it, which is that I feel like I'm just playing a computer game on the pad.
Yeah.
It was fixing a lot of that stuff. So yeah, 4th edition on Raw definitely needed some work. But yeah, you could see it making primal and cleric stuff completely on the same plane.
Yeah.
Fixed a lot what we're talking about, even though obviously aesthetically
there's
those issues.
Like, one of my favorite classes in 4th edition was the Seeker. Which was literally just, you're a ranger, but you're not. You're like a divination priest, but you're not. You're like a kind of a trap maker, but you're not, because it's all ghosts. And I'm like, this is the fucking raddest shit I've ever seen in my life.
So many options. So many options.
And I'd show up with this character, and I remember playing a Seeker like 2 or 3 times, and I played like 2 different Seekers in like gameplay, and I'd show up and describe my character and then start doing stuff, and people were like, what the fuck are you? And I'd be like, I'm a Seeker. And like,
it's so interesting.
I fucking miss 4th edition with the release of the new I've been considering resubscribing to Pathfinder 2 stuff with the release of the new core rulebooks they're doing a lot because of this conversation.
I mean, it's such an interesting concept, because literally we're walking through 5th edition came out, we're walking through this new building, we're like, this is the coolest thing ever, and then overall stuff starts breaking down that we'd never noticed before that's always been there. It was behind the wall, the veil of what we knew. So now we're walking by this like decrepit building, and we're like, wait, how is this standing
it's
up?
It's like a museum.
Yeah, how is it standing up? But when we first walked in, the walls were up, we had no idea about what was behind it. Now we're walking in this completely decrepit building, and it goes, it's always been like this.
This is something I've always known, because Druid is the least played class of mine.
I played it.
I hate it. Yeah. I hate playing the Druid. The last time I tried to play a Druid was a challenge, because I challenged myself. I'm like, I really want to play this type of character that takes Druid and doesn't wild shape. And I built him instead to try and focus entirely on healing. Mm-hmm. Like using some broken like homebrew things that like worked with Druid, and I've spent a lot of time and like he can do some amazing stuff, and it still doesn't put on par at all with just a regular life cleric,
because it's divorced from its cultural context.
Yep.
you're like, yeah, when I was playing the Druid in Ryan's game, my goal was never brought up, and that doesn't necessarily him or whatever. But I'm a moving Druid. Druids are hermits. Why am I moving around?
Yeah.
Like you said, they're specific Druids because they're guardians of very specific places.
And Advanced Dungeons and Dragons left room for that. Its play style left room for all that because you were assumed to have like 6 characters.
You could also have...
So you just wouldn't be able to play your Druid if they
played it
move
right.
around.
You could also have source paths. Jesus, I don't know why 4th edition didn't do this. Because talking about, so if you're trying to play a Druid in D&D, you don't make any sense because the thief wants to go get some gold, and the bard wants to try and get rumors and stuff. The fighter's looking for the best things. You're just going like I'm here to try and keep things the way that they are. Okay,
Always.
where we're with wild changing events that are causing a ton of mayhem. All right. Well, I'm here to keep things in balance, so I should help you for the greater good. That's great. What do? I like interact with plants. Okay, we're going into like volcanoes and stuff.
You're going
you
into the
volcanoes? Well, I didn't specialize in volcanoes. I'm like more in like forests.
Yeah. You're going to a city.
You're
going to the underground. The underground could make sense, the Underdark. But you're a lot of the time, I want to go back in the city. Well, I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
Except I do because I need stuff in the city.
But you take Druid out. You put that instead. So you want to play a Druidic character.
Be
All right,
specific.
you take the priest or you take the wizard. You can take the primal path of that and focus in that and design your character the way you want.
4th edition
Great.
trying to do.
Why are you here? Well, it's not hard to describe that. If you also have a fighter that picks the primal path, you have a thief that has a primal path linkage, then suddenly you have everyone that's able to go, we want to play these classes, but we want to play characters that all fit together. Cool. Everyone picks this source. Or everyone pick this source. One person picks a different source because we kind of want to have a campaign that leans this way but has a little bit of other flavor.
Yes.
Sources and roles, man.
Boom.
Yeah.
Now let's pick an adventure path. Okay, let's go to the first level adventures that they have that are published. They're all separated by sources. So you want to play a regular D&D game? Boom, you pick a martial source. You've got your standard wizard. You got your standard priest. You're going into dungeons. You're figuring stuff out. You want to play a different type of game? Boom. You pick a divine path. You got your crusader. You got everyone built together for a reason that has stakes
nice.
in what's
like
going.
that.
You've got the primal path. You've got
themed,
stakes in the adventure that align with
Extending
it.
that theming would have been really cool.
Especially like you're saying, as a druid by themselves, historically doesn't make any freaking sense. But yes, in the stories, the fighter is basically a shaman to be.
Yeah.
So he is a primal fighter who eventually will become a druid.
Oh, that's cool.
So like you're describing, paths forward instead of like, well, okay, someone's a druid. And it's like, druid's like an end point. Like you're saying, the game leaves open because you're doing something else and the druid isn't.
Yeah, you could do other things while the druid is
And also,
there.
the game is a one-trick pony. I mean, like a paladin, you're a one-trick pony. But Troudon you can do more with because they're fighter-based. And then what was it? The druid, there was something else we talked about. But
so
there's
cool.
some ways to fix this, man.
It
I
could
know
have
it's
been
not
so
easy,
cool.
but it's like that's what I'm saying. I just had like that vision of we're walking in this house, all the walls are down now, and we realize it's always been this problem.
It is a
and
hindsight.
Never noticed.
It's the same reason of why does the
Never
scion
noticed it.
exist when you include a scion in the game? Because as soon as you introduce a scion in the game, the problem is why isn't everyone just having psionics?
Right.
In 4th edition, already had that.
And that's
fixed.
why they
And
fixed
they
it
did
there.
Yep. And I think with
They
your
already had
allegory
that.
of walking through all these decrepit buildings, which I totally agree with. I mean, at the end of the day, designing a game is hard.
Yeah.
But hindsight's 20/20, man.
Yeah.
That whole extending the theming of the power sources to everything, I wish they could have done that.
Yeah.
That'd have been so fucking tight. But we don't.
Well, I
live in
guess
that
we're saying
world.
like they could, but it doesn't feel like they're at all doing anything like changing. Because I don't know. I guess people would think it'd be back to like Legoing of 4th edition, but then again, use what works.
Yeah.
Re-envision D&D and stop. Like there is some cultural stuff we could change. Because again, we're not destroying it at all. It's completely re-envisioning stuff to also make everything matter more.
But people will
Make
be
it
mad.
matter.
People will be. The problem
mad
is,
for
and,
anything.
and this kind of goes back to kind of what I was touching on, is the problem with all of this is you're gonna have people who love to play druid just because of the wild shape, and any of the things that we do that we are just talking about, even though they are objectively better, are going to radically change the game enough that they are going to complain or are no longer going to be interested. Same thing with the Source thing, right? As beautiful as that is, we're going to be the primal group, we're going to play this. Oh, but I want to play Cleric. Oh, I don't want to play if I'm going to play Cleric.
I don't want to play the primal version.
I don't want to do it. And then boom, game ruined. Like, unfortunately, with all of this, especially with Dungeons and Dragons, I mean, we do have to cater to the lowest common denominator.
Well, no,
there is a lot of articles
the thing
about
is,
that,
I think
though.
this still works entirely because if you in this system, if you want to play a cleric, you play the cleric. Okay, you don't want to play the you pick a path. You have most of the party picking like primal or whatnot, and then you've got one person that goes, "I just want to play a standard priest." They pick that. Think of this almost like filling in a color dot.
Priest.
It's the same thing. It's like picking on a mechanical sense, picking your beliefs in Burning Wheel. By locking in, if you've got 3 people that are on this sort of flavor path, 1 person over here, this tells you exactly the sort of combination of incentives that your campaign needs to have in it.
So
it should be satisfying everyone involved.
Well, should every adventure be written with source paths in mind then? That's actually pretty tight.
That's what I'm talking about.
That's actually really tight. Okay,
I would
see
say
what you're
though,
saying. That's tight.
I think it's possible with what Casey's saying.
And then suddenly you go, you can
But
do the
then,
same thing because they've got, with how the subclasses, they got all these different features. You
Right.
have Dark Path because you've got
Dark Urge,
haunted
some Dark Urge
lineage,
stuff,
and
yeah.
you've got all these other, the shit.
Yeah, like you said,
It's true.
broaden with sources.
And then suddenly you're like,
Make it work.
an AI
genius.
an AI is difficult for it to develop this sort of game. Okay, if you build it on this sort of system,
It'd actually have an easier time.
then boom, it's going. You have 2 players that picked Holy, 1 that picked Dark, 1 that picked Primal.
Conflict.
Boom.
Yeah.
Generate these amounts. Where's most likely for all these things to occur
Yep.
in these possible 5 locations at the time?
Because the theme, yeah.
And then
Boom.
have it draw
Pick
from
With
it.
his a very
generate
4th
or
edition
something.
thing.
Yeah.
It's a very 4th edition
it's
way of
built
doing
off
it.
of 4th edition.
Because they baselined it.
Perfect system.
Abandoning 4th
But
edition
then-
was the worst thing they could have done.
We all just jumped off because we had just been. We were on the boat of 4th edition just with rocks being hurled at us.
Yeah.
But I would
Constantly.
say-
and we're just constantly like, we love this boat, but it's just leaking.
It's
oppressive to be on.
We
Yeah,
gotta
we're
do,
tired
and
of
we're
it.
like,
Yeah.
it's like Pathfinder. Where's Pathfinder? You can come back to 3.5. Remember that boat that's full of shit? It's we just cleaned it. Not much has changed.
The shit's under the
it's
boards
just
now.
clean.
Yeah, we hid the shit.
You hide the shit, but eventually, if it pops back up, we're like, oh, we jump right on that, and we just let it sink.
Right. But I was
had
saying
a full tank of gas and everything.
with
in it
what
still.
Jimmy was saying, I've seen a lot of discussion. I don't know how much of it because like it's like journalist kind of vision of it,
Yeah.
which is like Hasbro continually only cares about the growth and not keeping long-term players because they're very short-sighted.
Yeah.
They are only caring about growth, and which makes them do decisions that do not care about like what you're saying.
I mean-
a game that you have exists.
This would even work.
Oh yeah,
for
like
building.
having to switch to having to feel like I got to jump to the new system or stuff like that because
it's incentivizing short-term gains.
It is.
While Casey
Yeah.
would be a completely, like you were saying, people
Yeah.
might be mad, but they get mad at everything for every reason for everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, they do have to worry about that as a corporation. They have to worry about that
This
no
all
matter what.
slots in with their whole thing of trying to make factions matter and everything too.
What if they worked with you?
Oh,
with that idea?
Yeah. Well, like Zentarum
Yeah.
and Harper's and
Yeah.
What is ever Harper's ever actually matter? Because I feel like there
Yeah,
was a time, but I
literally.
can't remember. What was the time they actually fucking mattered?
They bring up the factions in some of the adventures sometimes, and they try to like shoehorn in mechanics for interacting with them, and it never really. Does
Harper's are always the
anything.
lamest people.
They're so fucking lame.
I'm actually this super spy man. This is probably my hatred of
Yeah.
Ostap. I'm a super spy man. Am I cool? What?
No.
Who's the Harpers? That's it. You don't know who we are. Okay.
Are you double? Are you?
I know everything about you, weirdo.
Yeah, I stalk you.
All right.
Ostap, we're
secret.
Never would have been a Harper.
We're a secret society. We know everything about your every move.
Ostap was Polish, raised for Ravenloft equivalent.
Right,
Was
yeah.
Polish, raised in Spain, to then act like he was German to go live in Romania. That's Ostap.
I'm picturing sitting down at an Adventures League table and somebody being like, "I'm part of the Harpers." I'm like, "Oh, cool. So you're like 007. Do you fuck?" No, I don't care.
Well, it's because the Harpers are like being a rogue. Hey, I'm gonna steal from you, and you don't know it. And the Harper's like, I know information you don't know. Isn't that cool? I guess. Awesome.
I guess
It's the same. Well, again, I'm
is
still
the same thing.
I'm alluding it back to the same thing. I'm not included in it. Why do I care?
Right.
What makes games interesting is how much you can include people with it, and you have mechanics that exclude people. It's like, I still know so much. Isn't that cool?
That's how I feel about the druid.
Not really.
Unless we're all Harpers.
That's how I feel about the druid.
Yeah.
I could build 50 different druids and come up with awesome storylines, be super invested in the character, and as soon as the game starts mechanically and I have to play them, I'm not invested.
You're
so
totally
why do I
right.
care?
I'm just a bear.
I'm just a bear.
And it's especially every time we play the game.
My character
you haven't
is
seen a bear yet.
My character's an orc, and he was raised in this special place and everything. And now I'm a druid. All right, it's combat. Where's the bear? Great.
Yeah. Well, like I
His
said,
name's Thragor, and he has a family, he has intentions.
Well,
Look at this stupid bear. Is he gonna do bear things?
Yeah. Well, it's
the bear can take a lot of damage. Oh, he went down. Now he's just an orc. You better quickly turn to a bear, or else you're gonna die.
Yeah. Or like I was saying, is like I want to be a bear. Have you seen a bear before? I haven't seen a bear before. No, you haven't seen. You just started your character. You haven't seen a bear. So I've lived for how long? I'm like an 18-year-old or like 25-year-old person. I haven't seen a bear. No. All right. Can I play a version of a bear? No, you haven't seen. Yeah. Have you seen badgers?
Or the opposite.
I can't play badgers. Okay.
I've seen the opposite. Okay,
exactly.
we're swimming through a river. There's crocodiles after me. All right, the druid's like, all right, can I turn into a mantis shrimp? They can punch faster than anything and break the sound barrier. What's the DM say? Yeah, I guess you're a druid. You can turn into anything. Cool, I'm a mantis shrimp. I punch him. It can go like so fast. Like how much more damage should it deal? Let me think. Just roll like 2d20. That's how much more damage you deal. Okay, 42 damage. Wow, that's a lot. The druid seems really overpowered.
Yeah, you're so creative. That's awesome.
God, you're so creative and cool. God, druids are so broken.
So that's another problem with the DM is
fighter shows up.
What? What the druid can turn into. Either it can turn into only a specific number of things, and that makes it really boring. Why play the druid? Yes. Or suddenly the DM has to know what your druid can do all of a sudden.
Which, well, like you're saying there's no guards. They just let them go.
The DM fiat is
and
fucking
again,
off the chain.
it loses its historical context because in those folklore stories, they became spirit animals of those tribes, and so when they were living their lives and they saw eagles and lived among the brush and had extreme connections to the land, seeing an eagle talk to you was fucking important. But then at D&D, it's just like, I'm gonna fuck a bear. It doesn't. It loses.
That's true. That is true.
It loses its hugely cultural and historical strength.
Even in Baldur's Gate, all this stuff's happening. A giant alien ship crashes. Hell is erupting.
Yeah, the beginning. There's
refugees and everything. And the entire first thing you're hit with, there's a bunch of druids, and you're like, "Whoa! All these people are taking shelter." And the druids are like, We've got a huge problem. And you're like, what's the problem? I'm willing to help anyway. I'm an adventurer. And they're like, we have to cast a spell to put a bubble and stop everything from happening here.
We want to screw you all.
Whoa! Why? The forest needs to be protected. That's a good point. That ship crashed into those forests over there. But
my God!
What happens after the forest is protected?
Nothing. We do not
help.
We
stay here.
They're very druid. That's true.
So the point is that if I help you, you create a bubble, and I'm not. You. That's it. You stay here.
Yeah. And even when you save them, they go, "We don't fucking care." They literally. I love that part of the game. Yeah, you save them, and they go, "Okay." They literally are the biggest assholes, and it's perfect because you're like, we saved the tieflings and everything.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. And you're like, dude. We just saved you. No, you didn't.
No.
Yeah, I love that. I actually love that how much they are actually druids. They do not give a shit about you. They're like, what if I just kill all the tieflings right now? And they're like, that sounds great. Actually, could you do that? And you're like, oh my God. Before they make the bubble or try to do it, they're like fucking like a kid is walking around and they're like, the kid's trying to come into that. He's trying to come into that while they closed it. Yeah. And they're like, dude, there's a kid. And they go, yeah, but we hope it dies.
Dark Sun's
I don't want to see him when I come back.
Dark Sun's the only established setting that really gave druids any sort of distinction.
Oh, it did.
Because it was Earth.
Because maintaining
Land,
nature
land.
at all became important. So,
Extremely
And
important,
mobile.
yeah.
Because it was all... Everyone was dealing with
Because
it.
so many places were dead, you had to be migratory.
Yeah,
It's like,
it's
what are you
like
going to stay in the same spot?
Be the druid of a desert in like 5th edition. It's like, okay, what are you saving? It's just a desert. Well, like, I really like my desert. Okay, so what are you saving? And then being a druid Dark Sun, it's like, this dude that used to be a desert, okay?
Yeah.
So, what do? Oh, I protect it. Well, it's not in danger. Yeah, not really. I just kind of guide people around. Well, what do you mean? Sometimes people get lost in my part of the desert, so they're on one dune, and I'm like, hey, man, there's a shorter dune you could take. And I tell them, and they take it.
So pointless.
And then I get some water. And
why are you with
go
us,
over
though?
there.
Well, you guys seem cool. Shouldn't you be protecting that? Nah. But that's what you're built for, is to protect land. Yeah, I guess.
I don't know how to find water. I spent my entire life learning to be in tune with nature in order to find water.
Yeah, survival check.
That's cool. For the same price, I could hire like 5 dudes to carry as much water as their weight will allow.
They also could find it faster than you, surprisingly.
Yeah, their job is to carry water. I pay a gold piece a day, and they carry water.
Yeah. Okay, so what's your point? Oh, no, I'm just here.
I like the desert.
Yeah, druid is such a fucking weird thing to
I
have.
have the power of the elements. You mean like a wizard?
No, because of 5th.
Like
At 4th edition, you don't have that problem.
the druid's only offensive shit is the basic stuff of a wizard.
Magical stick,
Like
slightly.
you're like, I'm a powerful druid. I
Yeah.
can cast lightning bolt. The wizard's like, cool. I've been able to cast lightning bolts since I was 5. Have you seen Gedry's electric loop?
Yeah.
It's like moonbeam, and it's like, that's,
Yeah.
I guess, somewhat druid. You know?
Dark Sun Druids also are cool because of their whole aversion to iron and stuff. It makes a lot of sense in a world where iron is like super valuable.
5th is just weird. It's like, you always forget. Oh, it's like you pick up a sword. Ooh, you can't do spells. Ow, and you're like, oh, I guess I forgot about that. Yeah, Dark Sun is like, okay, so what's going on? Don't touch that.
Fuck it, we're going back to 4th edition. Fuck it. The future's too scary.
You play a Dark Sun game.
The warm womb
what
of
you
4th
do
edition.
is you allow what is it? It'd be no primal. Maybe one primal would be extremely limited, but it just be you pick the sources of martial, psionic, and
the divinity one.
pact.
Oh yeah, the true pact. Yep. Divine.
Because if you're gonna do sources and stuff, I mean, it makes sense that
Pact
you
is the
can
only
have
way.
Warlock be arcane, but then that makes it kind of more confusing because of how the wizard isn't what the wizard used to be. You're not making deals with devils. The wizard has those spells, but the thing is, the wizard's not typically.
Dude, they're
doing
all
that.
They're not casting Gate anymore. Gate used to be such a huge thing in AD&D because when you exhausted the town around the dungeon, you started going to other planes.
So the thing is, when you pick magic user, you could either do Arcanist that's doing magic missile and figuring out spells and learning new things, or you'd pick Pact and you'd be making deals and actually have a separate system.
Warlock is so weird too. Yeah. Oh, I'm a wizard, but I suck, and I have to have a boss. It's such a weird class.
Yeah. But the thing is,
isn't that cool? I got a boss. No, we don't like the fact that you have a boss that's listening to us. No. He makes me do things I don't want to do. All right, awesome, dude.
Isn't it cool that in my fantasy escapism I still got to deal with middle management? Isn't that so tight?
And Cleric is just like, my boss actually doesn't really care about me. I need to do what I want.
I work at home.
What do you get to do? What do you get to? Well, I get a little bit of spells, and I get to use them. Not too much.
Not too
and
much.
Then I gotta ask him for more, but like just a little bit, and then he'll give me some more. But I only get a little bit, but they're still just as powerful when I want, but then I'm out. And then I gotta go ask him again.
You get all that
So
cool
you're like
stuff.
a wizard that's living paycheck to paycheck. That's what you're describing.
No one plays it that way, but it's like, yeah, like,
Wizard
I
on
think
minimum
Baldur's Gate
wage.
gets it. Baldur's Gate is getting it. But yeah, it's like, really, Warlock should be heavily pathetic.
Yeah.
It should be played pathetic because no one plays it as like, because it's hard. So there's a lot going on in a game. You're not planning for warlocks, but yeah, warlocks showing up should be like, oh God. He's like, yeah, my boss told me to do this, and we're like, dude, we don't care. We're doing other stuff. Yeah, but because it should be fucking annoying to be a warlock. You are told to do these things.
Yeah.
No one plays it that way.
If you pick source books, you could by just mixing some sources, you can imply an entire setting. You go, here's a setting. It's got these 3 source options: martial, divine, pact.
Yep.
Yeah, there you
That's
go.
it.
I like that. That's cute.
Divine, extremely limited options.
Yeah.
Martial, most of
Pretty
them.
open.
Pact,
Pretty open.
all of them.
Mm-hmm.
You suddenly have a
Heavy
world
caveat.
where, and you follow that logic, you follow a world where most characters are trying to do stuff just on their own, martially. But it's easier. Every class has an option of dipping in and just giving into a pact.
Yep.
For having a boss, living this lower form of existence.
Way stronger.
And being able to channel off of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's a very small minority that's mostly allowed for NPCs or specific character awards that give you the divine tag.
It should be a big trade-off, and we don't play like that. Like a curse.
Yeah.
A pact should be a curse, not a, I bought it, I can do whatever I want.
But the
So
thing
why are
is,
you playing him?
the problem with that is because by having that, you suddenly have to divert more focus onto that type of character
Yes.
to bring that out.
That's
It's
what
a
I was
big
about
problem.
to say. Is that
So-
there's a lot more of that diegetic element in the older games because that was all a big part. You weren't ever focusing. You didn't have just one character in one campaign. You were in a much more macro spot.
Yeah.
So it was a lot easier. It was a lot easier to say, oh, well, my druid is just going to stay over there and do druid things. I'm going to do something else. Because that was the type of game you were playing. It was very high
it
level,
makes sense.
we hit the dungeon, we do our accounting, we go back, all that. The moment you get to the as zoomed in and as single character focused as modern D&D is, I mean, you just can't. The amount of bandwidth it takes to control even one character is incomparable.
Yeah, because if someone's a warlock character, you're just either you just go, okay, cool, warlock, but if you like a lot of story, you're gonna try to make it work, and it's just gonna be hard, or it's not. It's just not gonna work.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm alluding to your pact. What pact? You're a warlock. Yeah, I don't know what I'm at. Dude, you're an old one warlock. That's heavy shit. I guess.
Rules that make you act like your character are really important. Rules that would make you be like, yeah, you're a druid, so you're subject to these limitations. You're a warlock. It's a big deal that you swore your soul to someone. Here's a whole bunch of rules that say, here's how that's going to have to work. Yeah. You shouldn't just be able to ignore something as big as the entire reason your character
and I would
is
say,
your character.
In a circular thing about L5R, which I'm hoping works, is that in a heavily hierarchy society, you are always thinking about your family, your clan, your direct family in your clan, and the school you're from.
This is why I argue even more to remove this.
I like that.
This thing. Why this is so important? It's even more important to remove this from class structure. It's got to be in kit structure. Because why is it that the paladin has certain oaths that they must adhere to, and they get magic from their god?
Yeah.
But a priest of the same god could also technically have his flaws. He's an adulterer, and he can keep all.
There's
his
a
spells.
reason why kits were fundamentally flawed towards the end of Second Edition's lifetime, but they're also super popular because they let you account for those sorts of things. It was no longer like, well, I got to pick something, and now I'm just going to be that. It was like, well, no, I want to take a little bit of that and a little bit of this and a little bit of here and there, but it's still not it's not as cumbersome as multi-classing as splitting your XP allotment.
In a way,
two or three
what I would
classes.
imagine a perfect D&D would be is it working like 2D20 in the system, in the sake of for D&D, you have a base game. This is how the game works. What kind of D&D game does your group want to play? What character dynamics do they want to play? What setting?
D&D should just
we want to play a barbarian, a druid type character. We want to play a ranger. Cool. We pick primal. We drop down. We use these sorts of rules. We're focused on wilderness. It opens this. It opens these wheels up.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Boom. We want to play a Ravenloft game. That's going to be dark, and it's going to have these kits that open these things
Modiphius
up.
should own D&D, especially because we're already
100%.
the D20 is already so iconic. It'd be funny. Let's just use all D20s.
Yeah.
And that's the most D&D thing I've ever heard. Let's just use all D20s.
Well, we always bring back to Burning Wheel, but there is a heavy direction when you make your character.
Yes.
You cannot play Burning Wheel without a direction.
It
just doesn't work.
I was pitching Burning Wheel to some people last night, and it was that exact thing where it's like, oh, well, I want to play like this, this, and this, and it's like, that's not how this works. That's not how you should want it, because it's like there is such a it's the type of player that's like, oh, I want to be a goblin character who like is this and this and this, and it's like, as cool as that might sound, it is way cooler to have a character that is instilled with very specific direction from the very start. The whole idea of, I'm this guy, that's kind of a novelty that only lasts so long, especially when you're faced with a grander campaign.
Yeah.
It should be the other way around. It's not like, I am this character with this backstory and this combination of this and this appearance and this thing that I really want to be, and then I'm dragged into the story. It should be, I am this person who was built under these conditions and am ascribed very specific qualities, and now the rest of the game is pulling them out of that.
Yeah.
Like a lot of characters in Burning Wheel, they kind of end up the same. You can get pretty customized with Burning Wheel, but if you have a bunch of people, like 3 or 4 life path villagers, they're all going to be sort of similar. And then you're playing the game, and everybody gets yanked in all these directions through trait votes and learning skills and all the different beliefs.
There's so
and
much
stuff like
progress that happens to the character every session.
Yes,
But
every time you roll dice, you get experience points.
I'm a druid. What?
Yeah.
Okay, how have you changed in the last 3 campaigns you played? Well, my sword's +1. That's how people describe it.
I can turn into a polar bear now. What?
There's a lot of what we're describing is also like, your pack doesn't matter in 5th. No, because it's also hard as a DM to make that work.
Yep.
A lot of classes,
it's so much burden on you.
A lot of classes should be or made with complete direction. A pact is supposed to be direction. It's literally, why did they give you the power? Because they wanted something from you.
They want the best of both worlds.
They wanted something from you.
And they want you to have all this pact structure and all this class structure. Oh, but you could do whatever you want, though. It's like, pick one, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Either make me do
same
stuff
thing with
or
the
don't.
oaths. Yeah. You're supposed to have so much, like even a cleric, you have paths, but like, again, why did they choose you? They could have just not given you powers.
Yeah,
Why did they choose you? And I know that's hard because, again, we're front-loading stuff to the storyteller. Like you were saying, it's like the computer game can just do it better.
Yeah, the voice of fire could spit this all out for me.
But then
so
you're suggesting a fix for that, which is a theme built around, and even if it's anti-theme, it obviously becomes the theme of anti-theme. But start with a system that's super devoted to pushing forward a progressive thing, a progressive story, instead of, yes, I have a pact, it doesn't matter. Yes, I'm a paladin, it doesn't matter. I'm a cleric. Literally, I'm a druid. Why am I not my grove? Because I don't want to be.
Unfortunately, we are going to have to start cutting this short because I won't have enough bandwidth to upload these both this month.
You have 21 hours. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, I have 3 hours of upload space, and the other one went long.
Nice.
So we're really hitting the edge.
The first one, I don't know if we'll keep that one,
Ben.
honestly.
What?
This one, I mean, this is RPG.
Ben, that was a damn good question. This is going to go down. This
deep.
is going to go down in history as one of the better Wrong Room episodes. Honestly.
Also, suddenly you do
topic,
that,
yeah.
the monk makes sense because you can go have a class that just.
Yeah.
You want to play a monk? It's this class, but okay, now you've got all these key abilities.
Oh God,
cool. Have a kit for the fighter. Have a kit for everything else.
We literally have to stop. I'm
sorry. Goodbye!